Lauren, let's get to the big MCG. You didn't want to talk about it before the last game, but if you take your coach's hat off, what's it mean for the girls and women's football to have a game at the MCG?
I think it's amazing. Our group is so excited. I'm excited. We've had a number of us older girls had an opportunity to play there a few times back in the day when there was just little pockets of exhibition games and bits and pieces. So to have a fixtured AFLW match at the ground and to have us involved before an AFL final is it's so exciting, and I think the experience for our crew, you know, coming off a showdown and then getting to play on the G in round 2, it's just what you'd want for a young crew. So is it something that you're harnessing with the group? It's not say, hey, it's just another game. You're really embracing the fact you're playing at home of footy? Oh, I mean, to be honest, we've had a Monday review meeting and a Tuesday training session, and we're off today to Melbourne. So it's been a short week, so there's not heaps of time to sit in it. But yeah, certainly. We've had a handful of players, about 3 that have played footy on the ground before and 1 who's played cricket at the MCG before for SA. So yeah, we have a conversation and a sharing point with the group around what's the feel, what to expect. And the beauty of tomorrow is we also get a little walk around the environment before the game too. So that'll be helpful for the group. And yeah, I think our game style, assuming the weather's a bit nicer than what we had in the showdown, I think it'll suit as well.
It's obviously worked out really well in that now the girls get to have the chance to play at the MCG, but given the way it was scheduled and changed over time, and it almost seemed like they put the men's final there and then decided what to do with the AFLW after. Is that frustrating that it almost seemed like, from a scheduling point of view, it does seem like in this situation, as good as it's turned out, they've almost seemed to make AFLW an afterthought?
I think where I sit as a senior coach of Port, I get that fixture, and I would never be in a position to pretend that I understand fixturing for anything. So that's not up to me. But the beauty is they turn around and we're playing at the MCG. So in terms of, it literally doesn't change a lot for us, except for it's a shorter bus ride. So it's a beautiful thing.
You mentioned a shorter week. Have you had enough time to recover and prepare?
Yeah, I mean, we get the fixture. Another beautiful thing about this year is we got the fixture earlier than any other year in AFLW. Often it comes out pretty late in the piece. So we've been planning in intricate detail the whole fixture, and so we knew exactly what we were going into with a 6-day break. And again, can't think outside of Alberton, there's probably not a better surface going around. So we're pumped.
How impressed were you, from as much as obviously I'm sure you would have liked to win, to close that gap and show what the girls showed in round 1?
I think there's there's some obvious maturity in the group, and I've been pumping up the fitness levels and telling you to look forward to that, and you would have seen it. So I'm pleased with that. The contest element was good too. I think the Crows ended up +1 for the whole night, and free kicks come into contested possession. So, you know, we lost the free kick count and we lost contested possession by -1. So, yeah, I think the elements of the game that we've worked on growing are coming together. And the next piece is finding maturity in that, and there's an opportunity to show a bit more tomorrow night. You did match them in the contest. I know you're a coach that loves to talk about the contest, but centre clearances was one area that was probably a concern. Is that something you've spoken about this week? Yeah, obviously Dan Merritt's our midfield coach, so largely we review it. I think we were 10-3 centre bounce, so yeah, you have to look at that. And you know, there's a little bit of stoppage detail. There's a little bit about, you know, you've got Marinoff and Hatchard, who are multiple Australians and premiership players, going up against what's still a young midfield. So there's good learning for our group and definite growth available. We talk about learning with this group, and we touched on it a few weeks ago about, you know, starting to become wins and losses. We know the Dogs are, you know, you've got to go there and perform, but they're a team that is struggling a little bit at the moment. Do you start putting the pressure on your team to say this is a game that we should win and we have to win? The pressure on our group at the moment is to be consistent in how we turn up. Yeah, and so how much the maturity and the elements of the game that I've been talking about, that I trust our players and our whole group has grown. The challenge is to turn up and show it on game day, and so that's where the pressure comes from. It's largely, you know, we do some detail on Oppo and we prepare for opposition, but week to week right now it's about how consistently we apply all the things we've been training for.
Sinead Goody picks up a Rising Star nom in her first game. Is the most exciting part about it the fact that all week she seems to be saying she didn't even think she played that well?
She's a funny kid. Yeah, the most exciting thing for Sinead is, like I think I said like this time last week, she's an absolute footy head. She's so diligent. All she wants to do is get better. She loves our group. We love coaching her. And, you know, she is going to keep getting better with that attitude. So she's team first. Even just having a chat with her about the whole Rising Star nomination and the kerfuffle that comes with it in terms of media and everything for an 18-year-old kid. You know, she doesn't really blink an eyelid. So I think that shows some promise going into the future that, you know, first and foremost, all she's talking to me about is team and how she can better execute her role each week. So I'm very excited about that.
You mentioned the contest work. Is that where the game's going to be won or lost against the Dogs, or do you think it might lie in some other areas?
Without giving away too much, it's very much for us about executing the style of play that we'd like to. And so, pending weather conditions, it should look a little bit different to what we tried to execute in the showdown. So, you know, I don't want to be too much of a straight bat for you, but yeah, contested footy and front half footy typically wins games in any level, so we'd look to do that.
Kirsty Lamb going up against her former side, how pumped is she?
I think it'll be big for her, but also Lammy gets going for every game of footy she plays, so I think it won't be anything new.
You straight back on the plane, or do you get to stick around and watch a big final in Melbourne?
No, we'll prepare as we normally would, so we'll do captain's run this morning and then fly to Melbourne to finalise our preparation for the game tomorrow afternoon.
Do you get to stay and watch the game after?
Nah, we'll watch from our hotel in Melbourne. Yeah.